G'day folks, welcome to another episode of Stuff and Such. Today we're working a bit on the Coyote RX7320 and hello Doc. It seems like there's a manufacturing defect with this particular model. Maybe it's spread in others, but it's something I've noticed anyways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what basically happens and how I'm hoping to fix it and explain to you why I find it such an issue. So let's get into it. So I've loaded up the front end here, and you'll see this big gap. It's probably 3/8 of an inch between the plate of the bucket and the loader. And I'll show you what happens. So the snow is too slippery, so I brought it over to a little bit of bare gravel. See if we can get it to do it over here. The bucket to do it right now, but it is super close. See how those pins are way backed up, and it's only hanging on by a 1/4 inch at the bottom on the lip there. So I'm going to toss the bucket off, and I'm going to grab my forks. They're usually a little worse. We'll see if we can get them to show what's going on. So you can see I locked them in there. Let's give her a whirl. So that was a pretty big failure on showing you guys what the issue is, and basically what the issue is that with a down pressure my implements would pop off. My skid steer quick attach, and I've pondered on it for a couple weeks, and I'm pretty sure I know why I couldn't replicate my implements falling off. I couldn't quite get a good camera angle on it, but these pins were so close to popping off, but they wouldn't. And the only thing I've done is this plate here in front of this pin, they were bulged probably 1/16 of an inch, and you can see where they were worn too on both sides. And the only thing I did is I took a 5-pound sledge and I hammered that bulge back in, which kind of proves my assumption of what the issue is. So over here we're at the torsion bars, or whatever you want to call them, locking pins. So what I'm pretty sure here is that this hole that this pin passes through is, when they machine them, that their tolerances are not terribly worried about. So imagine they just have those plates just hammered with a drill, and when the drill starts to get dull, it starts to wander and cut big. So I got these bushings that are made to have about a 60 thou clearance, so 30 thou on each side. And the intent with them is that I'll fit it to go in there, so I'll have to grind off some corners. Maybe even put a chamfer on the back side to go around that weld. So then I'll put them in there, one on the underside also. Oh yeah, you can see I'll bring you around. It's definitely, that's the issue, is clearance. So you can, I don't know if you can see that, it's hard to see with an eye through a camera. But you'll notice that this is all oblonged. So when I hammered that back in, it actually pushed that closed further. And that's why I can't get it to pop out now. So I kind of wanted to quickly explain why it's such a critical issue, the tolerance of these bushings. So let's pretend that those are spaced appropriately, and then you have a screwdriver. Now you'll see there's an angle on that screwdriver, and what happens is when there's so much slop, this is greatly exaggerated, it'll go over, and instead of being flush with the mating surface, it then becomes a ramp, which then allows it to drive it. Whereas if it was tight, it doesn't have that upward force as much. So a lot of people might think that this isn't really much of an issue. Like the worst that they would think that could potentially happen is your bucket falls off, your forks fall off. But the issue I have with this is that I have a grapple coming, and the thing is, the way you'd tend to use your grapple and maybe forking down and or even picking up a log from like this, when you got your grapple sits like this and then you curl down to grab a log and you lift up. If these pins pop out with that grapple hanging onto a log, it's going to absolutely destroy all the hoses, and that's an expensive thing. And on top of that, you kind of have a bit of quite a safety issue. And honestly, it should be an issue that Coyote should be dealing with. And now that I maybe have this bushing idea that they'll have to pay me, now that it's my idea, posted on the YouTubes, to fix it like that. But I think that they should honestly be concerned that if someone is injured based on, like, it's only 8 months old, this thing, you can start to imagine when things start to wear 5, 10 years, 15 years down the road, and you start having your plates falling off and hopefully not killing someone or a kid. Or yeah, I think it'd be a wise thing to get ahead of the curve and fix the issue, because as I was showing down here, the way they've made it is that you only have this little 1/4 inch plate and this tiny little skiff of material. I don't know why they did that. And then, so really the thickness of this almost isn't really an issue, like it doesn't really make any influence because it's so thin. So that's where I'm going to install these, grind this out, plop that puppy in there, and you'll also notice that they're tapped. And I don't know if anyone else is going to want that feature, but being that they're tapped, what that'll allow me to do is install a grade 8 bolt. You don't want to go soft because you'll mushroom the end. But that way, when I have a grapple on and I know it's not coming off and I want to make sure it doesn't come off and I want to make 100% sure it doesn't come off, I can take those bolts that I'm going to switch those set screws out for, and take those bolts and tighten it down against those pins, so it gives you 4 points of extra contact to make sure that it's not going to be popping off on you and killing someone. Because when you start picking up 2,000-3,000 pound logs, heavy green oak, and if that ever popped off on you and hit the sawmill funny and rolled off and squished someone, that would be just a terrible thing to happen. So that's going to be end of part 1. I gotta go get ready to go get fishing for tomorrow, so I don't know if I'll get at this tonight, but we'll see. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. Something to keep an eye out for. I'm gonna, once I've proved that this modification solves the issue and makes it safer, I'll have listings on eBay that I'll have in the description on items that you can, on bushings that you can purchase to fix this yourself. They won't be just drop-in ready. Like I say, you'll have to accommodate the welds in the corners and do a little grinding, which shouldn't be that hard to do. But anyways, thanks for watching guys. We'll catch you in the next one, and take care.